Here we go. This is the Victory Formation Podcast. I'm Prescott, and that's Eddie. Eddie, say what's up to the people.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another week of Dallas Cowboys football. How about them Cowboys, baby? We got
Yes, indeed.
a little bit of news. It's still the slow season. We're almost exactly 1 month away from the draft today. It's a couple
Yes,
days away
indeed.
from being a month. So I'm excited.
But we'll have something to talk about. We got something to talk about, though.
Heck yeah, definitely. But we do have a little bit of NFL news to talk about today. I know this last week's kind of been hit or miss for good news, and writers are just throwing anything and everything out to try and see what they can get some clicks on. But there was a big news article or something that came out. The wide receiver market was reset, or people think it was reset because of the extension for your boy JSN.
Oh, JSN, and he's really good.
Yeah, he is good. He and I think he deserves what he got paid. And I think people need to do a little bit of research before retweeting out that, oh my God, the whole market got reset, and how are we going to afford Pickens, and how is any team going to afford receivers? What came out was that he got an extension which averaged $42 million a year. It's not $42 million a year. He got an extension from his regular contract, which is now 6 years, and he's averaging $32 million, and not
something like that.
$42 million. So
yeah,
I know that it's like sticker shock right away. People are like, oh my God, he's going to make this much. But you have to understand that it was just an extension. They're adding money to his contract. So
yeah,
great. I mean, he deserves it, but it's not going to cost. It's not going to make us not be able to afford Pickens because of it.
Exactly.
That's what I just kind of.
This is what I always say when you get breaking news and some big name player makes $11 trillion. I always say, never pay attention to that tweet from Adam Schefter or Pelissero, whoever it is, only because that stuff comes from the agent. The agent, that's like his ad for his next people. So now he gets to say, look, I got this guy $42 million a year, and it looks so fancy. But then when you break it down, they really didn't make that. So never pay attention to that. You have to wait until the beat writer for that team puts out the real contract number. That's what I do for the Cowboys. So like when Osa got his contract or Lamb got his contract, I did that.
Oh yeah. No, you're right. You're 100% right. But what's strange about this one is that they took it and ran with it. It was a bunch of Cowboy writers that were retweeting it. Like, how are we going to afford it? And like, if you look into it, all of a sudden, like 6 hours later, somebody sent this out. These are the real numbers. Chill the fuck out. So,
and it still doesn't matter because Pickens is not a top 5 receiver in his league. Now he's good, but he's like last year. JSN was clearly the best receiver in the league. Puka Nacua, I guess you could make like an argument that he was one of the best. But in my eyes, JSN was the best wide receiver in the league. He was unstoppable all season, even into the Super Bowl.
Touchdown wise?
Yeah, well, yeah, like just overall, like MVP-ishness of his team. I think he was the best. Like as far as getting open, catching the ball, he might not have the best. Like he wasn't a triple winner, but I think he was the best overall wide receiver in the league, and so he got paid like it. I don't even think Pickens is the best receiver on our team. So he shouldn't get paid like the best receiver in the league. I think Lamb is better than Pickens, in my opinion. But that doesn't mean that he's not good. He's very good. I would love to have him on our team. But you can't be like, oh, they paid the best wide receiver top money, so he should get more money than him. Like I don't like that doesn't compute to me.
Well, I know I get what you're saying, but there is the certain factor of like it's just like with the quarterback market and linebacker market and everything. That the next deal is going to keep setting the stage for an increase in salary for everybody. Like every quarterback that re-signs is reshaping the market, and every receiver that does that is going to do the same thing. It's not about is this guy the best receiver in the game? Because you don't get paid because you're the best at your position. You get paid because you're the best on your team, and your team is going to pay you what your value is. And the players' union has directed that it's going to go up this amount at least. The next contract's going to go up by this amount. So that's why people are like, "Oh, Dak didn't deserve to get paid." Blah blah blah. According to the CBA, actually, yes, he did. Yeah. So it just that's how you got to kind of maneuver your way through. That's people say, "Oh, look at they just got to take less money and be team friendly." Your agent won't let you.
You really
Your
don't.
union won't let you.
They won't let you do that.
But so that's
just for comparison. So just for comparison, real quick, let me read the numbers. So they both played 17 games. JSN had 119 receptions. George Pickens had 93 yards. JSN had 1,800 yards. George Pickens had 1,400 yards. Touchdowns was 10 to 9.
Time out real quick before you go through. You put in an asterisk. He played three more games than George Pickens did. That's not 17 games. That's the whole season.
No. Right? They just did. No. I have it broken down by regular season. Yeah, I have it broken down by regular season.
He had 1,800 yards in the
1,793 yards. He had 1,793 yards in 17
Was there another
games.
receiver
George
on that
Pickens,
team?
Not in
that
his.
Gained 1,000.
Yeah. So that's why his is like an asterisk because Pickens had to fight. Not a fight, but he had to compete with Lamb for receiving, even though Lamb went down for a little while. But yeah, so that is a good point that Pickens was doing that with a all-pro wide receiver on the other side as well. So
yeah, true, and Dak. Yeah, it's unfair that we both have Dak because Dak was just going off when he was playing.
Dak was just slinging that thing. All right, so what else is going on in the league?
Next thing I had was, we got a bunch of pro days going on this last week, and I don't know how much you guys were looking into those, but usually a couple scouts will go here, a head coach will go here, defensive coordinator will go here, defensive line coach will go, so they can kind of spread out and get the as much contact as they possibly could. Just this last week, the LSU and the Miami Pro Day happened on the same day, and we had everybody that we possibly could that had a Dallas Cowboys star on their hat at the Miami Pro Day. And I don't. It could be that the LSU players showed out at the combine, so maybe they felt it was a little bit more necessary to actually go to Miami and see some of the other guys that they wanted to see, but. It was crazy to see the head coach, defensive coordinator, head scout, our GM, and all the scouts all at Miami to see.
McClay was there?
McClay was there, yeah. So
okay, all right.
I always think of him as our GM. You know what I mean?
I always call him GM too. I do the same thing.
So, but it's just strange that they didn't send anybody to that LSU, and then the next day they were all at the Texas Pro Day. So I mean, there's a lot of videos coming back from some, and we'll go through some of the players that they were actually seeing and looking at. But it's surprising to see why they wanted to get up front and close to those players from the Hurricanes, knowing that maybe it's because I don't know.
If I had to guess,
thinking that I think they really like that cornerback too from Miami.
I think Miami just has better players on defense than LSU does, to where they can be like, well, we got to go see all these players because we're out there and they have maybe 4 to 5 players that we're seriously interested in, and LSU might only have 2 players that they're seriously interested in. So they send more people to Miami. And I'm an LSU fan. I went to LSU, so I would rather them be all puffing up LSU, but if Miami has better players, you got to send the big dogs to where they're at, especially if they like somebody. Like really like Bain, so let's go watch them.
Well, if you look at it, Miami has 3 defensive linemen that are going to be drafted in this draft. They also had a cornerback and I think a tight end. But
tackle too. They got the best tackle in the league.
Oh yeah, that's what
the
I'm
draft.
talking
I'm
about.
sorry.
Is that big ass tackle? They have a tackle and a guard. I think right. If that guard is the one that is going to be drafted in the. Is he a tackle? The Hawaiian dude or the Islander?
No. It's like a man. I want to say he has like an African type name.
I know there's one guy that we're talking that I wanted to talk about the left tackle, the monster.
You're right. Mayagoa. Yeah, that's what. That's what I was talking about.
Is he a guard or a tackle?
They have him down as tackle. He's the 10th ranked player in the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just crazy. Miami was they played in the national championship for a reason. So
exactly.
Those pro days are important because it allows us to really privately work out somebody and get our hands on them. So that was fun. Free agency kind of slowed down to a trickle. We're hearing here and there every day. What's nice, and we'll go over what the Cowboys have done, is that teams right now are signing depth, right? You're not seeing too many stars sign. But what's different about this, and we can get into it a little bit later, is that it just feels different this year about the depth that we're getting. It's not they're not just who. It's like, oh my goodness, I can't believe we're getting this guy too. We're getting this guy too. Wow.
Yeah.
So we'll go over
one thing I like about this with the free agency is that with us, it doesn't feel like we absolutely need a specific position. Now we need defense, so it's like one of those, whatever falls to us, we can pick the best one of that. Like if we want a cornerback or edge or a linebacker. But like going in the other times, like when we got Motzi, we 100% needed a defensive tackle. We had to come away with one, and so that's why they ended up picking him, even though there were better players on the board. Yeah, in the draft. Okay. Yeah. So that's one thing of like what free agency gave us by plugging good holes in free agency. Now we don't have to feel like we have to get an exact position in the draft, which makes you draft better, in my opinion.
What's crazy? That's so crazy that you brought that up, because right before we started this, I was reading an article from Blogging the Boys, and they mentioned that that was the title of the article. They said that even though fans are kind of screaming like, "Hey, we didn't really do anything in free agency this year, we plugged holes, and it's not like we went out and spent everything that we possibly could on some really big free agents. We plugged holes where we needed them. So now when we go into the draft, just like what you said, we're not going in with like, oh, we have this really big hole here. I mean, what's crazy is like when I do the mock drafts, right, when I'm just spending free time and just doing them right now. A month ago, it was something way different than what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
Like right now, I was desperately looking for a cornerback. I was desperately looking for a DN. And now, like, because of this free agency, it really changed it. And I really feel like on the draft board and when the draft comes, the front office is going to feel that calmness of, maybe we will be able to draft best player available. Not an offense.
Then they just picked up another one.
Tight end at 12, but you know what I mean. But
yeah, and we just picked up another one, Darion Kendrick. They signed him like a couple days ago, cornerback.
And these. I mean, I think it's been like 3 or 4 cornerbacks in a row that we've signed.
Yeah,
in the last 4 or 5 days, and it's not just randomness too. And the guys that we re-sign, the really young guys, they're on hot seat now.
Yeah, they are.
They got vets coming
Josh
in
Butlers.
that actually, yeah. What I just read today was Kalen Carson's on the hot seat because of the
Carson,
the
Zion Childress. Man,
yeah. I mean
Josh Butler, but
the guy that we just signed,
that doesn't even stop us. Oh yeah, he is. Yeah, he is
from drafting. Yeah. That's
another
thing.
But that should not stop us from drafting a cornerback in the first round. But there's only 2 I believe that we should, if they fall to us. If we get the guy from LSU, Delane
or Terrell,
or the guy from Tennessee.
You think?
No, I'm talking about with 12.
Think,
with 12 at 12.
I'm thinking
Terrell should be there at 20.
We'll see. We'll see how it falls out because
Yeah.
even in the Clemson Pro Day, Terrell showed out like big time.
Yeah.
He didn't run a 4.38 40, but the coverage skills freaking ridiculous. So
Yeah.
the other thing, I think there's only like one or two more things, and then I think like I said, we're 1 month out from the draft, and the last thing that we wanted to talk about and make sure that you guys were aware of was some of the rule changes that were submitted to the rules committee. And
got some
not
of those.
I don't think there was anything that the only thing that I do know about that, I think you have the details on it, but I think the only thing that I do know is that the tush push was not included in this at all. So they're not talking about it.
They didn't even put it up like for a vote. Yeah, they didn't even put it up for a vote, so they're just gonna keep it.
Today, some guy threw out because I said, "Oh man," when I saw that article, I was like, "Oh, this is ridiculous." Only Philadelphia is happy about that. And
Jalen Hurts started rubbing his hands like a Birdman. He's like, "Yeah." Anyway,
an Eagles fan right away responded to me and said, "The Bills ran the play more than the Eagles did last year, you fool," and like started to call me a clown. And I was like, "Oh, so let me just double check that real quick." The Eagles ran it 33 times last year. The Bills ran it 17. So
yeah,
you guys full of shit. But it's
Eagles fans aren't the smartest.
It's not. It's something that's not going to be discussed, and we thought it was going to kind of be talked about because of some of the injuries that happened last year and the penalties and how stupid it was sometimes.
Yeah,
the Eagles ran that 4 times in a row. Remember that?
Yeah, 4 times and couldn't get out. Yeah, I remember that. But so just to be sure, these are just rule proposals that are like going to be brought to the table to discuss. So these aren't new rules, just proposals. The first one is the onside kick flexibility. So before, you only could do an onside kick if you were behind
in the fourth quarter.
But now, and now anybody can do an onside kick at any time. Well, that's what they're proposing. So not just when you're trailing. You can. So if you're winning and you decide to do an onside kick, you can let them know I'm doing on. But you still got to let them know. It's still not going to be a surprise. You still got to let them know, but you can do it if you're ahead. Well, you got to tell them so they can line up at the right line. Yeah. That was the biggest thing.
Part of the game. That was part of the game. Was the surprise onside.
Yeah. And so the other one was
something that happened in the Super Bowl. Remember?
Yeah, I remember that with the Saints. And the other one is there was a loophole in the kickoff rules where if somebody got a penalty, like a face mask or a 15-yard penalty, they would get the kick from the 50-yard line. And then they would just kick it out of bounds because the most it would go to is the 25. So actually you would gain yardage by doing as opposed to kicking it to somebody, and if they downed it in the end zone, it would go out further. So anytime somebody got a penalty, a 15-yard penalty in the 50, they always just kicked it out of bounds because that gave you the best. You never had to worry about a return for a possible touchdown, and it's pushed them back than if they did it in it like took a fair catch. So they're trying to do away with that loophole that people were taking advantage of last year. And a big one that I thought was pretty interesting was now New York can eject somebody from the game even if they didn't throw a penalty on them. So if they didn't throw a flag on this person and then they were watching the replay and they did like spit on them or punched them, they can eject them after the play even though a flag wasn't thrown.
Makes sense.
But only
I think a lot of us are probably screaming that when you see that.
Yeah. And then another one was a contingency plan. So they're going to allow the officiating department, whether on the sideline or whatever, to correct clear and obvious miscalls. Like the number one that comes to mind was that Saints playoff game where it was a clear and obvious pass interference, but they didn't call it, and the Saints ended up losing. Something like that is clear and obvious, like a clear and obvious face mask or a clear and obvious something. They can go back and correct that miscall, even though a flag or whatever wasn't thrown. But only doing work stoppage.
If I'm being correct about this, I think that one has an asterisk that says that it's only for next year, and it's because we don't know if there's going to be replacement refs or not. So they're trying to
Oh yeah, it's
be
possible.
proactive. Yeah, they're trying to be proactive and making sure that they can police the bad calls from the replacement refs, basically.
Yeah, and the key to all this is these are just proposed changes, so they still got to vote on it. The one weird one they had that was the Cleveland Browns proposed extending the window to trade draft picks. Like right now, you only can trade draft picks 3 years into the future.
Oh, they also
Anything
have
more than
another
that, you
one.
can't.
Yeah,
They want
they
to
want
change
to
it
do
to
it like
5
the
years in the
NBA.
future.
They want to do it
Yeah.
like the NBA. You know how like the NBA can trade picks from like 10 years down the road,
Yeah,
and you're like
all the way in the
you're
future.
trading the
And that was
2039 first round pick. You're not even going to be a
I thought
franchise.
that was
But
strange. Yeah.
there's also another rule that they proposed that I don't know if it's going to go or not. I think it's smarter as hell, but I think they're trying to see if they want to move free agency to after the draft, which makes, I mean, every
Man,
other sport in
that
the
would be
entire
interesting.
world does free agency after the draft, except for football.
Yeah.
And the
Because
reason
the
why is
NBA
that
has
you
draft
go into
like
the
right
draft.
after the season. Yeah.
Well, but it's because you go into the draft, you draft players that you get, and then you say, okay, these are the holes that I have on my team to go for free agency. NFL does it kind of backwards, where we're trying to fill holes with free agency, knowing that in a month you're also going to be drafting kids. You don't know who you're going to get out of the draft. So say you spent all your money on 2 DNs because you needed them, and then the draft board fell, and the DN that you really wanted is there, and nobody else is there. Are you just going to draft them? That doesn't make a lot of sense at all. So
this will
if they
save
move
teams
that,
a lot
I think
of
it would
money.
be making a lot of sense. Hell yeah, it would.
Like think of the people
And
that
they
had the
also
biggest contracts, like Linderbaum that signed that ridiculous center contract. Now, if they went to the draft and then the Ravens draft a center in the first round, then that saves them millions of dollars from overpaying. Not to say he doesn't deserve his money, if you get it, you get it. But that will save them from having. But everybody knows you overpay in free agency, so that would save them a bunch of money if they happen to get the best center in the draft.
Exactly, and then think about like, let's say the Raiders, they pick their quarterback, and then when they come back in, they have another pick, and they pick a linebacker. That's going to leave one of those free agent linebackers that they signed for a needy linebacker team. Instead, now the Raiders have everybody, and they probably are going to draft the linebackers. So it's going to be weird, but whatever.
I would do that.
But I think
I'm a fan.
I think some of those rules make sense. Some of those are they're just trying to change rules to change rules.
Yeah.
So that's the NFL news.
Now let's get into some Cowboys. Let's get some Cowboys news. Let's get to the steak of this meal. We done with our mashed potatoes and corn.
Yes, sir. So right now, looks like we had talked about, Cowboys did continue to sign free agents. This last week, we signed a couple DBs. Do you have the guys' names up? That way, I think you named one of them.
Darion Kendrick was one of them.
Darion Kendrick is he is a I don't want to say slot cornerback. I think he's going to play the nickelback. Where I'm reading a little bit more about him. He's very aggressive in the run game, he is. I think he had like 1 or 2 picks last year. He was in between 2 teams last year, so I think he played for the Rams and the Seahawks.
Yeah, he had 2 interceptions.
And then we also signed another defensive back this last week as well.
Who is that? Is that Ballantyne? Is that who we signed?
Well, we re-signed Ballantyne. Ballantyne was somebody that we had signed last year that was on our practice squad.
Because I'm looking at the depth chart, and Kendrick was the only one I didn't recognize, unless they put him on a practice squad or something.
Maybe we talked about him last week. I don't remember if we did or not, but it was a defensive back that we did sign. But anyways, well, we can move forward with that. But so we're like we had said that they're trickling in players that I don't know if anybody's messing around with the with mock draft or not, but what a lot of the writers are saying and what the stories is like, what happens if we get to 12 and we don't make a trade up. We get to 12, and the 6 players that we would draft are gone. What are we gonna do if that happens? So what we tried to do is come up with like a contingency plan. Maybe some of the guys that maybe not on your radar that are going to be in the draft. That maybe if we trade back from 12 back into like the late 20s or something like that, that will be there. And we tried to break it down by position of need. We do need linebacker, edge, cornerback. Some say we need safety. Some say we need tight end. Some say we need running back and tackle. So we tried to choose somebody that we thought was kind of off the radar, but is going to be drafted in that little sweet pocket of like 2 to 3, the second or third round. I could go.
I kind of wish this was the 24 draft. If you remember that draft. The first defensive player was taken at number 15. It was just straight offensive players. That was the latest where the first defensive player was taken. It was
Who was that? Do you remember?
Latu. He went to the Colts, and he went number 15. Before that, the latest somebody was taken was number 8, when J.C. Horn went number 8. But in 2024, 14 offensive players were taken. Yeah, 14 offensive players were taken before they took the first defensive player. Why couldn't that be this year when we need man, we could have got whatever defensive player we wanted. Reese, Downs. Oh, man, we could have had anybody we wanted. But, of course, now everybody wants defense. Imagine us getting Sonny Styles. Can you imagine that?
You never know. You never know. And I mean, we keep talking about it in the Discord about, this draft board, this draft is so heavy with talent in the players that we need that it could fall.
You just never know.
And these pro days are only helping us because these guys are coming out of nowhere and testing higher than they did at the combine. So it's just either going to make teams that are needy jump over and trade up in front of us for these offensive players that they need. The linemen,
there are always like 2 or 3 teams that draft somebody way out of left field. Like, who got picked at number 10? Like, what is this guy? And we just need two idiot owners or GMs to want to think that they're smarter than everybody and zag like, oh, we got to get this guy now. He's too good. I don't even know how he's still available.
My fingers are crossed that the Giants do that because today the Giants were at the Ohio State Pro Day, and Harbaugh is walking around shaking Sonny Styles' hands and Carnell Tate's hand and patting all these defensive players on the backs and like, get away.
I don't see him taking a running back.
And go away.
Everybody's mocking love to him. I just don't see them picking a running back that high, man.
Well, you got to think about it. When we drafted Zeke, we needed a running back. The Giants need a running back. They have a badass quarterback. They have a really good receiver. They have a very young tight end. They're trying to rebuild their line. Who are they going to hand the ball off to? Scatabo?
Yeah, he has CTE, so we'll see.
That's another thing we got to talk about. That fool coming back and saying, "I was just kidding. I didn't want to be.
I was just playing. I was just playing. I know you liar.
Let me. What I want to do is, I know that we picked players from this list, and we're going to go over how we felt about them. We did a little digging into them so that you guys have an idea of who they are. I just want to read the names out of some of the players so that the listeners and the viewers can do their own research on these guys. So, and I'll go through them really quick. I'm not going to spend too much time on them. So for linebacker, we have Hill Jr., Galday, Rodriguez, Trotter, Perkins Jr., and Bocher from Oregon. If you just hit us up in the chat if you guys have any questions about these guys or you don't know who I'm talking about. Edge, we have Mesidor, Zion Young, Cassius Howell. I think has the best name in the draft. We got Mekhi Lawrence and Dennis Sutton. from Penn State. Cornerback-wise, we have Cisse, Chris Johnson, Keontae Scott, Igbinosun from Ohio State, Malik Muhammad, Everett from Georgia, and Takario from the University of Washington.
Right.
Safety-wise, we have A.J. Halsey. I hope I'm saying that right. Haulcy. Halsey. Bud Clark from TCU. Kilgore from South Carolina, and then V.J. Payne. And then last couple guys, we have tight end. This guy's, I don't know if you picked this guy to talk about, but Trigg from Baylor. Woo.
Yeah, that's who I picked.
You did good. Okay, and then we got Endries, and then Kozio. And then running back, we got shout out for Peyton. We got Washington from Arkansas, Arky, fastest running back in the draft. And then Kalen Black from Indiana, Kavion Moss, and then Whittington from Oregon. And then finally, I threw some tackles in there because their tackles was in need, maybe, if we need a swing tackle. And Iancor from ASU, World from Oregon, and then Markel Bell from Miami. So out of these 7 positions, who did you want to talk about and tell us a little bit about what you learned about them? And I'm going to
do all 7 or just go by one? Want me to go down the list?
Whatever you want to do. If you want to do one by one,
I'll go down the list.
One by one. Okay.
Yeah, I'll go through mine first, and then you can do yours because it'll be quick.
Okay.
So in the first group, I picked Harold Perkins.
Okay.
So
he's
a linebacker, LSU. Yeah, 6'1", 222 pounds. A good stat about him, he had 3 interceptions last year. Now, good thing for him, like how he would fit with the Cowboys. So I'm going to break it down by who they are, how they would fit with the Cowboys, and what projected around there. And he has elite speed, 4'4" linebacker. So he can play both traditional and on the edge. But his biggest weakness is he's ultra aggressive. So stuff like reverses, double moves, wheel routes, things like that can get him because he sees the play and goes to make the play. If he sees the play and that's the play, he's going to blow it up. But if they decide to do something dumb, it's going to get him. And he's projected to go to the 4th round because of injuries he sustained. So that's why he's dropping. He's really good, but he had injuries. And then in the beginning of his career, they had him rushing the quarterback, and he was getting high sack numbers. But then for some reason, the last year or so, they had him playing off-ball linebacker, covering running backs and tight ends. And he's not as good as that. He still is good, but he's much better as a in the box, like a linebacker that's rushing, blitzing, things like that.
Yeah.
All right. So my next guy was Akeem Mesidor. I like this guy. He's one of the guys they went to see at Miami. 6'3", 280. He had 12.5 sacks last year. Now, good reason he'd be a good fit for us is he has a lot of pass rush moves. They say this guy's probably the most polished rushing defensive lineman in the draft. When it comes to moves and when it comes to, like, he has swipes, arm overs, cross chops, rips. But his biggest weakness is he's like a 60-year senior. He's already 25 years old.
I was going to say he's like 26 almost.
So by the time he gets to his second contract, he's going to be like 30. And he already had 2 foot injuries.
They're going to call it's going to be like what they call you and I. They call us Unk in the Discord.
And so even with those limitations, he's still going in the first round. But it's going to be toward the end of the first round. And he might get bumped to the early second round, but he's definitely going late first round, early second round. Bain is the real stud on that team. He's going top 10 for sure. And that was our defensive line. So for a defensive back, I got Keontae Scott, DB, 6 foot, 192. He had 5 sacks as a DB. Yeah. That was crazy.
Craziness.
And that was more than his whole career combined. In that one season, they just blitzed him a lot.
He's a good fit because he's playing there in the middle there. I mean, coming off the slot there, obviously.
Yeah, he does a lot. And he was very effective. And so his good fit for us because he has good playmaking ability. He makes plays. And his ability to rush from the DB spot is good. Like how we used to have Orlando Scandrick slot blitz all the time.
Yep.
So his forced fumbles and interceptions were impressive. Like I said, he's a playmaker, and he's super aggressive, But his tackling skills a lot to leave desired. That's one of his knocks is his super aggressiveness and his tackling skills. And he's projected to be second round.
His biggest plus that just happened the other day just happened. I mean, did you see how fast his 40 was?
Yeah, it is.
I mean, he ran a 4.25 40 and blew everybody away.
And as good as he is, he's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He's the eighth like high ranked DB in the. That's how good this DB class is. He's the eighth ranked one, and I'll be glad to have him on our team. So safety, I got Bud Clark, safety out of TCU. Man, he had 15 interceptions in 4 years. Like like we thought Keontae Scott was a ball hawk. This guy is a ball hawk. He has plenty of experience. He had 61 games he played. But his the knock on him is his injury history, and he has a very lean build for a defensive back. So that might be a hindrance to him getting drafted. Doesn't mean he's not going to be a good player or a good tackler. He just doesn't look like a cornerback when you go out there. Right now they have him as a third round projection. This guy, out of all the players we're naming, this is my favorite one, who I hope we do pick. Especially if we miss out on Caleb Downs. If he doesn't drop to us, I would be okay picking this guy in the third round. Let me see, 3 more. So the next one is tight end, Michael Trigg, the guy from Baylor, the one you were talking about. His best season was last year. He had improvements in everything: catches, yards, touchdown. He has you know how we talk about those get off the bus guys? This guy is a get off the bus guy. Like his wingspan is in the 99th percentile. So for people who don't know,
82 inches or something.
I'm a mansplain. Yeah, I'm a mansplain. So say you put your arms way out, it's like normally for like from finger to finger is how tall you are. It should match for normal people.
Will you do me a favor?
Super athletes, it's longer. What's that?
Will you for our female listeners? Will you explain what mansplaining is?
You're not gonna get me killed anyway. And then his wingspan is in the 99th percentile, and his arm length is in the 91st percentile. So he is a freak when it comes to, man, that guy looks like a receiver, but that's his downside. He's kind of a one-trick pony. He's not a big blocker, get down in the trenches. He's like a Kyle Pitts maybe, or who was another, like a Aaron Hernandez, like mostly catching, receiving tight end. So that's the one thing. You really can't. I mean, he might develop into a good blocker, but he wasn't a good blocker coming out of college. And he's shown to be like the fourth round is where they have him projected to go. 2 more. Mike Washington Jr., the running back, 6'2", 223 pounds. He had 6.4 yards a carry. The funny thing was he had the same amount of carries. He had the same amount of carries last year as this year, except last year it was like at 5.2. This year he had 6.4. So he got better. Like he got better, more explosive runs. So the biggest thing about him where he can help us, he has elite top end speed. Like if he gets past the linebacker, he's gone. You're not going to catch him. He pulls away from DBs. Like you're not going to catch him. But the real big knock on him, man, I don't know if they're going to like this. He had 10 fumbles. He fumbles a lot. He turns the ball over a lot. So if he can clean that up, I think that's what's knocking him down to a round 3 projection. If he could clean that up, then he will be a very good back. I would have 0 problems drafting this guy. 0.
You know what I like about?
One
quick note about him. What I really liked about him, not knowing anything about him, seeing him at the combine, breaking down emotionally after what he did on the 40, it was like,
yeah,
it shows how much passion some of these guys have. Some of these guys are
put in the work.
They're just so used to being the best that it is whatever it is. It is whatever. But like this guy showed how hard those last couple months have probably been. Him getting ready for this test, and it all came out all at once after, and it was just like it was a really touching moment to see on the sideline. Just wanted to say
And
that.
all of us all of us who've played sports have seen it, where there's some players who just gifted naturally. They can just roll out of bed and
Oh
start
yeah.
doing everything they can. And then there are other players who are great, but they're not gifted naturally. And I put Dak in that second category. He's great, but not because he's, you look at him and see Lamar Jackson. Like I think he has to put in more work just to be as good as he is because he's not gifted naturally. And that's how I was growing up. Like when I played, I wasn't gifted naturally. I wasn't a athlete, but I had to go in there and shoot 500 shots in my backyard until I became a dead eye shooter. And I think that's how he is, and that is a good thing to me. You
Heck
put
yeah.
in the work.
On top of that is, you have to put in, not only some people are more athletically inclined, but some people just have more opportunities, right? Both
Yeah,
your
yeah,
parents are in the house, and
yeah.
two income
And they can
family.
afford
It's probably a little bit.
a
Yeah, you can
coach and all
afford
that. Yeah.
a camp. You can afford a couple camps for your kids and stuff. I mean,
Oh man.
sometimes you just go out there and you play with the ball that you have, and if it
Yeah.
and you just your passion grows instead of
I kid you
things
not.
being handed to you.
We weren't like a poor family. My parents just didn't care that we had all the stuff to play sports. So I had an old volleyball, and I put a bike tire and I nailed it up to the side of our house, and that's what I learned to play on. Only and
Nice.
I'm pretty sure if they really wanted to and they cared, they could buy me a basketball goal, but they did not care. It was in my house. It was all school. You bring home A's and B's. We don't care about sport. We don't care about none of that. So I had to make my own stuff, and that's how I became good. The volleyball was just a little bit smaller than the bike tire. So I literally had to be dead on to go in. Like it wasn't no barely making it. So that's how I became a good shooter. I shoot that thing like 500 times a day.
I was thinking about this the other day too, because I don't know if you were if you jumped on that trend on the that trending, hey dad, what were you like in the '90s thing. I
Oh
made
no, I
one.
didn't
Me and
see
my
that.
daughter, she was helping me make one where it's just it shows you, and then it shows all the pictures of you back in the '90s. And a
Oh,
lot of the
okay.
pictures I had were like of sports, like football, basketball, and shit. And my daughter was like, "Hey, did you play baseball?" Or and I was like, "No, I really wanted to, but baseball
It's too
and
expensive.
soccer
That's the most expensive
were
one.
the two. Yeah, those were the two sports. Like, if you wanted to play football, you just needed to know somebody that had a ball, right? So if
Yeah.
somebody in your neighborhood had a ball, 20 or 30 kids were playing football.
Yep.
Same thing with basketball. Somebody just needed to have a ball. But baseball, you had to have a glove, you had to have a bat, all that stuff was really expensive, and it was kind of out of the
Yep.
reach for my parents. So it was like I knew of baseball. I played it in PE and stuff and with my friends, but I didn't
Mm-hmm.
play baseball because it was kind of out of the reach. Same thing with soccer. So
Yep.
I'm glad that nowadays I think it's a little bit less. It's less not that it's less expensive, but there's more opportunities for kids to play other sports nowadays.
Yep. So last guy before we move into your list is Isaiah World from Oregon, the tackle, 6'5",
Mm-hmm.
323. Like he has the prototypical size. He looks like a left tackle. The only thing
Does he?
is this guy's very raw. Like he needs to
Mm-hmm.
learn how to play tackle. Like, but he has to like there are some more raw players than him that went high as first and second round because they're like, man, kind of like what we did with the guy we have now, Guyton. He just looks like a left
Mm-hmm.
tackle and he was raw and it was like he only had 1 year. And so they're like, we'll still pick him in the first round. This guy's like that, but he doesn't have the natural ability. Like, man, I can teach him something. He can be great. It's like he's one of those where it's raw, and you got to be a good coach to see it in him to where you want to get him. And right now, they have him projected around the fourth round because he's a monster. Like, man, 36, 6'5", 323.
Mm.
Like he can stop stuff, but he's very
Let
raw.
him get off the bus first.
So
Let
like,
him get off the bus first.
yeah. And so I'm not really too, I'd say, keen on drafting him. If we get him, cool. If we don't, we don't.
I think that's
And that's
when it
it.
comes to like tackles right now, and I'm the same. I'm on the same mind frame. I think that we have the line set that we need, and I think that we have a swing tackle and a swing interior offensive lineman. I think it's just camp bodies right now, competition, making people better, and setting things up for the future. But so I'll go through my list. I won't take too much time. I did the same thing that you did, but I think I just did it in a different order. The linebacker that I chose was Galde. He is a senior. He's an older guy. He was a senior. He's 6'4", 239. He ran a 4.6 240. I will tell you what their NFL comparisons are. He has been compared to Urlacher, but
Nice.
they want to say a much quicker Urlacher to the ball. Urlacher was sideline to sideline, and if anybody was an Urlacher fan, they knew that Urlacher started out as a safety and just
safety. I remember that.
He just didn't stop growing, so they had to move him to a linebacker. This guy's been a linebacker all his life. He's got for a 4.6 240 isn't blazing speed for a linebacker, but what he made up in that long length, his 10-second, what a lot of scouts, they'll look at the 40-yard, but they'll look at the first 10 yards as, you know, what your initial speed is. His first initial 10-yard split was almost faster than any of the other linebackers, and he had a freaky athletic shuttle time. The shuttle, you know, the shuttle one where they go back and forth between the cones.
Oh yeah.
He actually he ran a 4.25 on that, which was ridiculous. So they're saying that he's a sideline to sideline. He is a 3-down linebacker, can stay in there, doesn't have to be substituted during passing down. So I do think that if we do trade back and we lose out on missing some of the linebackers, Galde would be one of them that I wouldn't be sad if we did draft him. Next guy would be my defensive end. This guy I really like. This guy is like what you talked about, where, you know, get them off the bus first. This guy's name is Malachi Lawrence from Wake Forest. He's 6'4", 260. This kid ran a 4.5 240 as a monster.
That was crazy.
That's how fat. I mean,
that's crazy.
Humongous. He got at 6'4", he jumped 40-inch vertical. If you add 40 inches on top of how far his arms are, that means he's probably jumping like 12 feet high.
That's like Vince Carter range. Vince Carter's like 44, 45 inch vertical.
Yeah, no shit. They say that a lot of scouts say that he moves like he's a small man, and I don't think that is a knock on him. I think that's a compliment to, because, you know, big, long, lanky guys, they don't look athletic when they're running, but this guy does. He runs. He's smooth, quick. He's always playing behind the line of scrimmage, so it's not like he's one of those defensive ends that kind of tries to set the edge and like holds the lineman there. He's actually making plays behind the line of scrimmage a lot. He's an athletic freak, is what the scouts have described him. So I definitely would be extremely happy with him. He's projected to go in the 3rd round. So I know.
The downside with him is he played for a small school.
Yeah, well, yes. If you want to call them, they're not a small school in basketball, but in football, yeah, I guess they are, right?
Yeah, they are.
So that's the defensive end. I think that would be a pretty awesome get if we were able to get him. Defensive back, I chose to go with the hometown boy, the Longhorn, Malik Muhammad. They during the pro day, he's just outstanding. He's 6 foot 182, so he's not the biggest guy, but he makes up for it in his heart and his athleticism. He ran a 4.4 240, 39-inch vert, which is pretty nice, even though he's only 6 foot. His strengths are that he reads routes like a receiver. And if anybody remembers us talking about other cornerbacks that do that, that was Diggs, 100%. Diggs was a receiver all his life, and he turned into a cornerback at Alabama. That's what I'm reading from this guy, is that he runs routes like he's a receiver. So he's almost like he gets to the point of the ball before the receivers do, because he breaks on the ball. He knows the route. Mm-hmm. Another thing about him is he has very fluid hips, and he's quick to come up and play the run. That's one thing that I think our defense really needs is cornerbacks and safeties that are not relying on linebackers and linemen to make plays on the run. So
Yeah.
this guy came up and threw his whole body at running backs. If looking at some of the tape, so I'm really excited
So
if we were to get him.
So he's Shakira certified.
Shakira.
Yeah, those hips don't lie.
I did choose Bud Clark myself too, but so I'm gonna actually jump off of him and I'm gonna pivot to AJ Halsey because I did learn a little bit more about him too. AJ is different than the other safeties that are in this draft. AJ is a throwback. He is 6 foot, 215 pounds. He's a ball of muscle. He looks the part of a 90s safety. Intimidating, snarling, just spit coming out of his mouth. He's going to eat your lunch. What they are doing, he ran a 4.5 240. His 10-yard split 1.62. Well, it was pretty good. That's pretty quick. What they taught, a lot of the scouts said this guy is a guy that's going to do everything. You're never going to hear that's not my job from him. He's a consistent leader. He's a little bit older than some of the players that he's been playing with. He is a ball hawk. He's quick to make a breakup of a pass. Even though he's intimidating, when you look at remember the Legion of Boom. The Legion of Boom was not going for the ball; they were going for your head, right?
Yeah.
So they were an intimidating defensive backfield. That's
they
what
want you to think twice about coming out there.
Exactly. That this guy is going to put a hit on you in the first quarter so that you're thinking about it in the next couple of quarters. That's his game. So
real quick, I really want us to get more players like that. I think we have, the whole time we were getting the right kind of guys on the Garrett. We just got too many nice guys. We need a Fred Warner. Somebody
help you up when you're down.
James, a James Harrison. You're like, man, if you come across this middle one more time,
I'm gonna step on your neck. Those kind of guys.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
That's what I want.
Next guy that I chose on that list was for tight end. Like I said, these last couple, I think the offensive are just Hail Marys. If we drafted one of these guys at 12 or 20, I'd probably throw something. But the tight end that I chose was Tanner Koziel. He is like what you were talking about with Trig, where his game is the vertical passing game. His hands are. They said that out of all these tight end prospects, he probably had the softest hands versus how tall he is than any of the tight ends. His speed is not blazing, but he makes up for it with his radius of his catches. He has a really big arm, really long arms. He catches everything that's thrown to him.
Yeah.
He has a lot of he's a really good yards after catch kind of guy, but he really does need to work on his run blocking. And if we do draft somebody like this guy's going to play special teams. So you're going to have to come up with a somewhere to be a really excellent tackler or be a really excellent blocker. You can't be you're not catching any balls on the kickoff and the kickoff return teams. I promise you that.
Yeah.
So if we were to draft him or sign him in some way, he's going to need to find a way to make plays. Next guy, I haven't been going over the NFL comps of these. Lawrence, his NFL comp was Josh Sweat. Malik Muhammad's comp was Marcus Peters, if you remember him. He was kind of that.
Yeah, he was a ball hawk. I liked him.
Yeah, he was a baller
at Kansas City.
And then Bud Clark, I don't know if you saw this, but his comp was Marcus May. Then Tanner Koziel, his NFL comp is Higbee. And I said, wow,
Okay.
that is really, if you think about it, you don't think of Higbee as, oh, that guy made a devastating block, but he's
Yeah.
the guy that gets those first down catches out of nowhere for the Rams or whoever he was playing for. And then the last two guys, I have a running back. I chose Le'Veon Moss from Texas A&M. He's 5'11", 203. He's not a compact running back. He's kind of long. He's a speed kind of guy. He's not going to be a guy that gets you, the 2 or 3 yards that you absolutely need on second and third down. He's going to be the guy that comes in and catches a swing pass and breaks it for 15.
Yeah.
Nobody is going to catch this guy if he gets behind somebody. There's not a player on the field that's going to catch this guy once he's sprinting. He runs a 4.42. A 4.42. He's one thing that is kind of amazing to see that the scouts kind of picked up on this, and I saw some highlights of it. Is he's an excellent blitz pickup guy, and for the frame that he has, you wouldn't think that he does. Yeah, we definitely do. And then the last thing, like I had wrote down, is that his burst to balance, like his ratio. If he touches the ball, if he gets hit, he's probably going to go down. But if he sees a hole, he's going to get some yards, and if he gets behind somebody, nobody's catching him. Then last but not least would be the tackle, and I chose the gentle giant, Markel Bell. Sorry. This guy's 6'9", 346 pounds. He reminds me of, what was that movie where he was a prisoner and he could fix things. The big dude, the huge black dude.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
I forgot that. Green Mile.
He reminds me of like him. Like, I remember how he was just such a gentle giant, like so intimidating. So, oh my God, don't eat me. He's coming at me. But he's only coming at you to kind of help you up. And like, he's one of the guys that would help you up if he knocked you down. He did play at the Senior Bowl. During the game, he looked good, but during the workouts, like during the week, one of the highlights was a Michigan defensive end just absolutely running over this guy. And if you, I'm sure you've seen it because it was a highlight of the Senior Bowl.
I do remember that.
He is a mountain of a man, and if he gets his hands on you, you're gonna be blocked. It doesn't matter if he just needs to stand in your way. Yeah. He's got a massive wingspan, farther than any lineman that's in the draft. I think it was like 86 inches or something like that. Stupid ridiculous. What's good about that for tackles is what defensive ends are going to try and get their hands on you to kind of maneuver you and push you where you need to go. Mm-hmm. Rushers aren't going to get their hands on this guy at all. I mean, initially, he's just going to get his hands on you, and they're going to try and bull rush him or do something. If he can plant his feet, you're not going anywhere. But he doesn't. I mean, he's raw. He needs a lot of work. He's not going to be drafted in the first 3 rounds, so he's going to be there. He's going to be there for day 3, I believe.
Yeah, tackles are deep this draft.
Yeah, but his NFL comp is Trent Brown. So if you remember him, he was another really tall, long-armed. You're not going to get around him. You're not going to get through him. Kind of offensive tackle. So those are the 7 guys that we kind of chose to describe. If they weren't on your radar, at least now you know a little bit more about them. And do us a favor. Do a little bit more research on some of the guys that I had mentioned before. Tell us in the chat who you think we should focus on if we missed out on those guys.
Like, let us know a diamond in the rough, because I know I named some that went all the way from first round and all the way, like my guy Messidor, like he's probably going in the first round, and I have some going all the way down to the 5th round. So it's like, it's some gems to be had, and like, we found our Pollard, we found our Dak Prescott, we found our Jay Ratliff. Man, we found all these players in the 4th round or later. if we can hit on one of those guys, I'm pretty sure we're pretty good percentage-wise hitting on the first round, even some in the second round. But if we can hit on fourth and later to where they become solid contributors, like a Donovan Wilson was 6th round, Deron Bland was 5th round, Dak Prescott was 4th round, Jay Ratliff was 7th round. So we can hit on any of those guys like that. Just one out of a draft, that makes it a good draft.
Excuse me. I
So
agree.
I think we got it.
The guy that out of this list, I think my favorite would be Mekhi Lawrence. I mean, he's a monster, and his ceiling is high.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Mine is Bud Clark. I hope if we miss out on downs where, those 2 to 3 GMs don't make an idiotic move and we miss out on downs, I'd say get Bud Clark. I would be very happy with him. And I would actually be happy with the guy you had, the AJ.
Yeah,
I forgot his last name.
I would too. I think AJ Halsey is we lost out on Hoffman, our goon. We need some tough guys on our team. We need some I'm not going to put up with kind of guys. So
man, it's crazy. I didn't even look at that, but
not even for other teams, like for in our locker room too, right?
Yeah, just some tone setters.
Yes, sir.
All right, that's what we got, man. If y'all think of anything else, leave us a message in the chat, ask us some questions, and we'll bring it back for you next week.
Heck yeah.
So Eddie, man, say goodbye to the people so we can head on out, go eat some dinner.
Be kind, help some people out. Let us know in the chat what you'd like us to talk about. I know this is slow time, but we're ramping up. In just a couple weeks, it's going to be nonstop action.
Yeah, man.
So we're looking forward to it.
All right. So that's it. We'll see y'all next week. I holla.